You are listening to BitsCast KE, conversations that matter to young people, bit by bit.
Mazungumzo ya kweli na jamii, uwezo kwa vijana, mabadiliko. Mazungumzo ya kweli na jamii, uwezo kwa vijana, mabadiliko.
Welcome back to BitsCast KE, conversations that matter to young people on every level. So today we are talking about running for political seat. And when you talk about running for political seats, especially in Kenya, as a youth, it can be a very challenging journey. As a young person, I think it's mandatory for us to be represented in the government at all levels, because when you talk about, representation and people coming from different places, of course, we make up a very huge chunk of the population, and it is vital for us to be represented. My name is Alex Oburu. I'm your host, and today I'm joined by Musila Jr., a very young, creative, innovative youth and governance expert in terms of training and a corporate MC. So this is a very good introduction, and he's just here smiling because I've already introduced him. But back to you, sir. Exactly. Please introduce yourself and what you do without your title.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex, for hosting me on this podcast today. I am, like you said, Musila Jr., but full names are Musila John Musila, and I go by the stage name Chinaman the MC. So I do a lot of corporate MCing, and I love to do that. I equally do team building, which I equally love very much. But most importantly, an associate trainer with the Action Aid, where I do youth and governance trainings. And I love to equally do that because, like you said in your introduction or in the introduction of this podcast, the young people of this country, the population under 35 is quite a big population. And it is important that this population is involved in matters governance. So I love to do that and to engage them and to always jog their minds to think about their country.
When you talk about politics, it's a bit, straightforward. People expect us to be here, all suit up and everything. So before we jump into this conversation, what do you enjoy doing?
Yeah, I'm a very fun-loving person. You'd find me in fun activities as most. I love swimming. I love going for adventure. I do zip lining anytime. I would be very happy to do mad fun activities. I mean, I am just a fun and outgoing person. And I equally love football. An Arsenal fan, ardent Arsenal fan.
Exactly. I think there's something about the guest we're bringing to this, season 2, because young people, energetic, we are hearing people doing a lot of things from, not only being an expert on one particular thing that I've built for so long, but equally, you said you're into football, you're into, zip lining, swimming, and a lot of things. So that's actually great. Now, when you get back to the conversation that we're here to talk about, exactly, running for political office. You ran for a political office. Will you explain to us briefly, when did this inspiration come? When did you just sit down and you're like, I want to run for for office, and why?
Most importantly, maybe to start with, I am born and raised in Kibera. Kibera is an urban informal settlement at the heart of the city, of the capital city. And having been grown here, I quite have seen people suffer and struggle, serious challenges. And every time I've been asking myself questions of, we always have representatives, we always have leaders. Why are we not seeing any initiatives to just try and fix some of these problems? Like, for example, we have water shortage problem almost every year. We have bad roads, we have insecurity, we have high rates of unemployment. And yet, our leaders are not doing anything about it. And having grown a leader from primary, high school, or through the university, being a delegate in student selections and all that, I felt it is ripe and rich for me to just come into the leadership spectrum and bring the voices of the communities into decision-making tables where we can find solutions to our problems. And so that alone was an inspiration enough that I would come in here, and having done a lot of work around activism, knowing the right questions to ask, knowing the right approaches to just having development, then I felt no more activism, let me bring it into the political sphere. And that is perhaps why I went into leadership.
That's quite interesting, from experiencing these challenges and also seeing people around you experiencing, water shortage. Sometimes it's even electricity problems, a whole week. And this also brings about, businesses cannot be able to run if you do not have power. Crime rates. Businesses, of course, do not operate when there's high crime. And this also doubles up to unemployment that you've also mentioned. So the inspiration came here. Then what is the next step? Of course, a lot of people will be like, I want to run for political office, but how do I even start? What is my next step from just having an inspiration to actualizing, this everything?
The thing is twofold. One, you have to believe that you can run for office. And secondly, you have to make a decision to run for office. Because if you've believed forever, I am a good leader, I can do this, but you never take an initiative to run, it will not make any difference. It will just be a dream inside you that is never lived. There is never a time that you'll be very ready to run for office because it comes with a lot of challenges altogether. So it's just a matter of you feel you have done all the things you need to do and you're ready, go into it. I would give my perspective. I finished my Form 4 some years back. And in 2013, I was ready, 18, an adult, and I could run for office. But I chose not to run in 2013. Because I wanted to go into uni and I didn't want distractions. So in 2017, again, I was in my third year in the university. So I felt I wouldn't want to go into politics. It might even affect my mental stability when either I win or lose, and I wouldn't be able to complete my course. So when I finished my course in 2019, I was so determined that in 2022, I am running for office. So that was the time for me that was ripe, and I made the decision. Whether I have the money that people always say politics is all about money, I will run for office. Whether I am married and people are going to ask me what is going to happen if you've not been your wife, I am running for office. Because the thing for me is I am determined that I have a voice that can represent the voices of many other people. And I am ready to take the mantle to be their leader. So I'm going in. Yeah.
And just to bring you back a little bit, you've talked about, just being in uni all this other time, and you could have run for office all that particular time from when you're 18. So were you studying something related to, politics, or this is just something that was, maybe in you, burning inside, and you are like, I really need to do something?
Actually, thank you for bringing me back, because I didn't say this in my introductions. I am actually a graduate electrical engineer. I didn't study anything leadership or community development.
Congratulations.
So every time actually when I do emceeing and I'm out there doing team buildings and people look at me as a very fun
you didn't even go to school.
And they're like, what is this engineer doing in such fun activities? Engineers are always serious people, unfortunately. But I did engineering. I loved my course. I did it to completion. I graduated with very good passes, grades, I mean. And here we are.
Okay, so probably it's something that, you just felt like you wanted to do. And of course, also for me, African parents, to some extent, they'll be questioning right now, why didn't you just, get a job and, proceed with your own life, and you're here fighting for, other people? Basically, is it a challenge coming from, let's say, your parents and people that are closer to you?
I think one of the things about me and my family is it's very supportive. Even when I made the decision to run for office, my family was very, very supportive. My mom was the first person who started campaigning for me even before I did my first campaign. She would go to achamas, she would even speak to women. My dad, who actually lives up country, had to come from up country for at least a week or something to just support my campaigns. So I have a very receptive family. And then the other thing, you see, I said I'm a graduate electrical engineer. Unfortunately, even after graduation in 2021, I am yet to practice engineering. Not that I don't love it, no. But education, for me, I feel should not box you. Should give you a diversity to do many other things. So even with my engineering degree and all that rich knowledge that I have, I equally have a lot of other skill set that can make me a living. And so I use all these others, and when time comes, maybe hopefully this year, hopefully next year, I'll still do engineering. Because that is knowledge learned. And the reason why I actually ran for office despite not doing anything related with leadership or community development is leadership cannot be taught in school. Leadership is something that must be owned. If you don't believe in it, if you don't have the passion to serve, and you even went to school and you understand all the leadership styles that exist, all the models, you're not going to serve people properly. It has to connect. You feel the problem, you feel you need to give a solution to it, and you do it. But if you continue to just want to feel it's theory, how it's written in books,
Yeah.
you're not going to connect to people. Every other time you'll be looking at them as people who are not exposed enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be an impediment
True.
for you serving prayer.
True, very true. Now back to, the conversation. You say that it is one thing to believe that you're a leader, and it's also one thing to take action and, start the journey towards, either running for political office. Now back to your story, you said, you had completed uni. Now, basically, like you'd settled and you decided to run for political office. What was the next step you took?
So for me, I was so sure. I equally understand the constitution. I know you can run as a party-sponsored candidate or an independent candidate. So what I felt for me, it is quite a journey to run as an independent candidate. It is even very difficult for people to
very,
become
very
convinced.
hard. Yeah.
Not that you cannot win as an independent, no. But I mean, the struggle is double. If you're running independent, unlike someone who's running in a party. So the first thing for me was to look for a party that not necessarily very popular, but a party that at least somebody can see and say this is an existent political party.
Yeah.
So I went to WIPA, the Democratic Movement, and I joined the party, and then I was ready to go. Then I came back to community, sought out a few people, formed a committee, and started my campaigns officially. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So how was the process of you, registering, for the party that you chose, WIPA? Like, what was the process like? Just to give the listener, a bit of, inside concept, or rather, they can contextualize on what was really happening.
So there are tiers of membership in political parties. So for example, if you want to run for presidency, there is that, I think it's the premium leadership or gold leadership membership, which pays close to $500,000. And then there is the silver, which most people running for governor and senator have to pay that fee. And people running for MCA just do the ordinary membership. Not necessarily ordinary. I think it's the lowest, bronze or something, where you have to pay 20,000 subscription. So that 20,000 makes you a life member to the party. And now you're able to run on that ticket. For anyone who just wants to join a political party, there is ordinary membership, which could be free, and some parties charge just 100 bob, and every other young person or a community member can be a member of a political party. So for me, because I was running for MCA, I registered as, I think, a bronze member. I'm not very sure with that name, but I just think the lowest for that category of people running for office, which was 20,000 for young people. Yeah.
Now, running for political office, but from the member of county assembly, it's basically from a particular, let's say, how do we say this? From a particular, let's say, like, how do we call this? You'll cut that one out.
Is that establishment?
So there's a constituency, then there's a sub-constituency, right? It's called?
Sub-county is the constituency, and then the ward.
Yeah. I was looking for the word.
Yeah.
So running for political office. Oh, I'm giving you a cue, Mkuu. Yeah, so running for political office, in terms of like a member of county assembly who is representing a particular ward, how was it right now that you've paid, your fee, and you have all the documents? Now is you hitting the campaign, and what were some of the challenges that you faced during that particular time?
I think one of the biggest challenge every young person faces when they go into politics is the money factor, the finance factor. The way our politics are structured in such a way, everyone feels anyone who goes into political leadership is a billionaire or a rich person from I don't know where. And so every other person starts to look at you differently, including people that you're very close and you've grown together. They start to look at you as somebody who's now gotten a lot of money from nowhere. Maybe you've won a jackpot and you just want to bring the money to people. So that was one of the biggest challenges, the question of finances. Now, how did I bridge that? For me, I did a purely ideological campaign that I was showing people what has not been done in that ward over the last 15 years. And I was communicating to them solutions real time that they could relate with. So every time they feel like they want to ask money, they're looking at me as a very young person who's very idealistic, someone who can offer solutions to our problems. So they didn't ask for money much, but every other time you'll hear them, kijana umeongea vizuri, but unafai usindikize sasa hiyo maneno na kitu.
You see,
but But essentially for me, it worked because they could listen. I might not be able to give an incentive which will motivate them more to vote me, but they have listened. And so even for wherever leader would win, myself or any other, they are now able to even ask questions. Why are you not doing this? Yet we know it is possible. So it became for me an enlightening moment through the campaign and equally a campaign process. Yeah.
That's very good. Like, it's more of you offering a lot of information to the people, and they can even use that information past the campaign. Yeah. And this is something we really do advocate for. Right now, they can be able to question, anyone and, everyone in terms of, those people who represent them. We needed water. Why isn't it here? We needed, let's say, schools built. What have you done? And that's really good. Now, apart from just running, an ideological campaign, exactly, of course, finance is a big factor. We also have like other factors that other youths have, said in terms of maybe they are harassed with other people, goons, maybe people who are coming from, let's say, bigger political parties. They can harass people who are maybe, let's say, in smaller political parties. So how did you deal with this in your particular ward, or is it just something of, a theory sort of?
I think this is that time I say, saa ingine kuwa mtu wa watu ni kitu ya maana sana. Wewe kuwa tu mtu wa mtaa na ukuwe mtu wa watu. Be a person who people can relate, because it is people who can protect you. Even the hardest of a criminal can be sent to you and go back without doing harm to you, because you are their person. So having grown here, I've made relationships, and a lot of them with young people. So the young people knew for a fact, this is one of us. So there was no reason for them to be used whichever way to even come and at me. My competitors, all of them would sit down and discuss and say, that young person is a threat. But they wouldn't think of any bad thing, because what avenues are they going to use? And you see, again, in politics, a lot of things happen. People think they're trying to at you, yet they're giving you even more mileage, because you can get even sympathy votes while you're being attacked. So I think for me, they avoided, because being a community person, I would get to every corner of Lindi ward, and young people would relate to me. The women would actually appreciate that one of their children is showing and taking up the task to run for leadership, which is not a kawaida occurrence. So it was quite easy for me. I didn't have a lot of such challenges. The only other challenges was, this is a multicultural setup. Some people believe if you're not married, you cannot be a leader. Yeah. I was not married. So people asking me, where is my wife? I'm not able to answer that question. And they will bring in a lot of other things. So if you cannot even lead a home, how guaranteed are you going to lead the ward? That was a small challenge I could explain. I just graduated recently. So would I have married in school? And they would understand. But I didn't see serious threats. The only other thing that I felt was a small challenge is in the utility of my own resources. For example, I've made posters and somebody has sent another person behind my posters to just remove them. So I am trying to survive in very minimal budgets, but somebody else is still like pulling them down. It becomes even a bigger challenge. Yeah.
So right now we are living in a digital era whereby, social media is here, the digital, world is opening up spaces whereby in the few years, or just the recent past, we won't have these channels. So did you maximize on, the digital space to maybe campaign or handle some of your problems?
I think during that elections 2022, besides Ruto, I was the second most popular politician in the country. I went to one of these debates and my video went viral. Yeah, I saw that. Trending #1 on TikTok, trending #1 on Twitter. It went viral, like really viral. So that space was well utilized. Unfortunately, again, the real voter is not on social media. Unfortunately, we have about 39% of the registered voters as young people under 35. But unfortunately, these people don't vote. So it's equally not a very big space to run into. But it is a good space to utilize to have your name out there. So you'd get somewhere and they're like, na nimeona video ya ukijana mahali. Ni kama namjua. So already that gives you an easy rapport with them. Becomes easy to converse. So you use it for that. Because again, you see, for me, that went into TV and went into social media. So yes, it is a space that really works. But the real voter, who is the mama and the babas, not on social media.
Yeah, of course. And this is something that even with our friends, we do discuss it. A lot of youth will say that we will, go and vote, but they will not vote, basically, just leaving a huge chunks of the vote coming from women, and then secondary, like from our fathers and all that. And it's very, very hard to internalize that. Now, jumping straight to, the election date, how was it exactly? And did you because I understand you have to have representative on every particular polling station. So how was it on your end?
So I had 28 polling stations, which meant I needed 28 agents. So approximately 29 because of one master agent who could walk around and be in every room. So for me, I think despite not having enough finances, I was prepared for every level of my campaigns. So I had prepared money for election day. I knew agents needed to eat. I knew agents needed to be paid however little amount. So most of them were like volunteers, but I said I would manage to pay each of them. So I had actually done for fundraisers and had a little resource for that. So I had at least an agent in every polling station and one master agent. So I had 29 of them, all of whom did their work quite well. They gave me results timely. They gave me updates. And after the elections, I'm a very true leader. I sorted all of them before the next dawn.
Yeah. And this is also because we hear a lot of stories coming from people saying, I was, this agent for this and this, political candidate. And after the elections, they just, went silent and nothing, we never heard from them again. So of course, sorting out your agents shows not only leadership and also you just being a servant leader, understanding that as much as we want people to volunteer, they also have let's say bills that they have to pay.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for that. So after the campaign, exactly, I would love to get exactly what did you amount to in terms of votes, and equally you as a person, do you think just running for the political seat after the campaign assisted you in any particular way?
So one, I got quite a good number of votes. Being a first time running for that position, I got 528, being the fourth most popular candidate out of the 13 that ran for the same position.
Congratulations. 13 is a very big number and coming forward.
Yes. And I feel for me, because like I mentioned, I come from the activism background, the NGO space. It's quite unfortunate that most of the networks I had pre-campaign and elections almost disappeared. They just went.
Why?
I don't know. Every time we're in these spaces, you hear people saying, oh, you're quite a good leader. Why are such people like you not running for office? But unfortunately, when we run for office, they brandish us as politicians. So they no longer want to relate with politicians in their civic space, which is quite unfortunate, because we were bringing these solutions from this side to this other side. If it doesn't work, it doesn't mean I still don't bear this responsibility or the same spirit that I had in the civil space. So unfortunately, I lost a lot of networks, but again, I got good exposure that now I am able to open other doors, which would be even more different in terms of dynamics from the spaces that I was initially. And even in the spaces that I was initially, if they come back calling, I've set a different bar. I'm not necessarily saying I've set a bar to lock them out. No. But I am bringing in now services that they need to buy. I'm not coming as a resource that they used to just use anyhow. So I have come as a different person with a different resource. And if you're able to buy it, please buy it.
Yeah, as we wind up this, conversation, I just want to get two last questions. So the first one is, how did you take care of your mental health and all that pressure? Briefly, as I'll share the next one after you answer that one.
It's a very important question, And like I mentioned before, I'm a fun-loving person. So immediately after the elections, and even before the elections, you see, elections have two options, actually two ways. You win or you lose. So the one thing about my life is I believe in that concept of taking what is yours. So I took the loss, but it wasn't a loss for me. It was a win. I was the youngest candidate in that ward. I was fourth, and I've made achievements. People can still have my name on their mouths every time they have conversation. So I had a small circle of friends who believed in me fully and who ensure that even after elections, nothing is going to go bad with my mental health. So we still took some hangout activities. We had conversations about the elections. See, again, without even hiding. Oh, I have lost the elections, but I have not lost a reputation. And that really kept me going. But like I said, I already had made a mind that I can win or lose. So none of them would come as a surprise. Win, serve. Lose, find a new way of serving as you wait for the next elections. So that is exactly what I did. And maybe just to throw in something here. In 2021, August, I lost my house to a fire. Same spirit. The fire has consumed the house. It has not consumed me. Move on. Elections have come. They have gone. You have lost, but you've not been consumed. Move on.
Yeah. Very, very good, strategy of looking into things and a very good perspective. So as we wind up this conversation, I understand there are a lot of people who want to run for political office, mostly young people. What is your advice to them?
I want to speak to the young people and speak to them passionately and start by saying we need more young people in the leadership spectrum because of a number of reasons. One, young people have the energy. So you can dedicate a longer time to serve your people. Two, they have a reach of creative and innovative solutions to our problems. So they can think through and think deep and have a solution that is very simple to a very complex problem. So they need to come into that. And thirdly, they have the blessings of time with them. Okay, of course, all of us don't know when they're going to pass on, but you at least know if you're a young person, and fortunately you live even to 70, you have a longer time. Now, that brings about a higher responsibility. For example, I was 29 when I ran. If I would have won, it would mean I need to serve better within my first 5 years. Otherwise, I am not getting another term. Who wants to retire from politics at 34 or from whatever role at 34? I would want to serve better so that I can get a second term and serve better. So that alone gives a reason for why leaders must perform, because they need to retain positions or even go higher. You don't want to kill yourself. So that is a better reason even for young people to run for office. But then secondly, it is not an easy thing. Neither is it difficult. You've got to decide to run for office. Wake up, see that there are problems. You know you can offer leadership. Go for it. Don't wait to get a lot of money. You might never have it because you will be a millionaire and still not be enough to run a campaign. Don't wait to be told you must be married. We've seen better leaders who are not married. Just make a decision. And one thing I believe, good leadership leads to good governance. And with good governance, we have sustainable development. Because young people have a lot to lose for their futures, then they must be the solution. From leadership to innovation to industry to everything. Let us make a country where solutions are guided and actually propelled by the engine of the country, which is the young people.
Yeah, thank you so much. And, at BitsCast KE, whereby we do, hold conversations that matter to young people, I think it's vital for people to look for you past even this interview that we are having today and, get to interact with you. You're a youth, in trainer in terms of advocacy, in terms of, governance. You are an MC, you do a lot of things. So how do people get to you? Basically, they might just maybe want emceeing services. They might want, trading on, advocacy. How do they get to you?
Very easy. On Facebook, you can reach to my profile or my page. My profile is John Musila. My page is Chinaman the MC. You can go in there, or if you want to see how I ran my campaign, you can look at the Lindi Dream on Facebook, on Instagram, Chinaman the MC, on TikTok, Chinaman the MC, on Twitter, JM Musila, at JM Musila. But if you want to write an email, Musila, Muisyo, MUISYO, at gmail.com. If you want to give me a call, 0713 161 272. Let us engage.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. And here we wrap up the episode talking about young people and how they can be able to run for political office. That was such a good conversation with a very young and vibrant expert in terms of governance and advocacy, and also a corporate MC, Musila Jr. This is our last episode in this season 2, and we hope that you have enjoyed the conversations and the different guests that we have brought to you. Until next time, keep listening. We will be surely vibing back soon. BitsCast KE, conversations that matter to
mazungumzo ya
young people.
kweli na jamii, uwezo kwa vijana, mabadiliko, mazungumzo ya kweli na jamii.